So you want to buy a third gen F body, meaning a Camaro or a Firebird. I'm glad you clicked on this video today, because these cars need basket cases. So on this episode of Garfunkel's Garage, we're going to go over every detail you should look at before buying one of these. When buying your third gen, you're going to want to take a good look at the exterior. Starting over here at the tail end, there's a couple items that we can look at specifically. Number one, this big old wang right here, this big spoiler from the 80s. These are actually very expensive and hard to find originals. Even reproductions of the spoiler, it's about $500. So if you're looking at a Firebird, you're going to want a spoiler in good shape. If you look right here on my hatch, there's this gap. You would assume that gap means this car was in an accident and something's messed up and it's not aligned because it was in a collision. Well, it's actually not the case on these third gens. The hatches on these weigh a ton, and the struts to support them put so much force onto the hatch, it actually will push the deck lid out of alignment to make this gap. So this has nothing to do with any sort of body damage. Now I'm going to show you a really cool trick that works more on just the third gen F bodies. If you come look at this taillight right here, you can actually see the year the taillight was produced. Now that doesn't necessarily mean the car was an accident if the years don't match, but it does let you know if they're original or not, which then could lead to just maybe some of your suspicions, and now you're more certain this car was an accident. This next piece is more obvious. You're gonna just want to look at body gaps and alignment. These bumpers are rubber, so if they're in the sun too much, they do warp. So once again, it's not a smoking gun if this doesn't align perfectly, but it is nice to have panels that are original and that match. So continuing looking at the tail end of the car, we're gonna come right underneath here, and we're gonna check two things that are in the same spot. One, we're gonna make sure the VIN on this rear end matches the VIN on the front. Just another good indication this is original rear end. Nothing's had been cut and welded together because of a collision. And two, you're gonna check for rust right here. There's absolutely no rust on this car, but if there was rust, you'd probably first see it over here. So continuing our way forward on the Firebird, we're gonna look at this quarter panel right here. Now, once again, this is a rustless car, so you're not really gonna see any examples unless we show some on the screen. Please edit that in. Right here, you can see this little ridge on the wheel arch, and that ridge is factory. If the vehicle has had body work done to and they're trying to hide rust or something like that, you won't find that ridge, so you want that to be there. We're gonna scoot on down to the door. Now here's a hot topic that everyone wants to talk about. Yes, this says what this car is. It's a Firebird formula. However, every single Camaro is probably gonna say IROC. That is usually not the case. For starters, IROC-Zs were only from 85 to 90. We'll throw it on the screen in a second because I don't remember the years. The decal also moved from back here to up here. I don't remember which times or which, but we'll put that information up now, just an indication if it's had a respray or not, to help you know if you bought a real IROC. Now, these doors are problematic. They weigh about 10,000 pounds each. So what happens is, you're gonna open these, and there's two door pins trying to hold this gigantic thing up. You can kind of pull up and down on it, see if there's any wiggle. This one's in pretty good shape, but you go to close it, and chances are it's not gonna close properly. That never happens. Usually it's not gonna close all the way. You're gonna have issues. This does not mean there's nothing wrong with the door besides it might need new door pins. It's not an easy job either. doors are massive, they're hard to take off. So don't be scared if there is door sag. That's perfectly normal with these 10,000 pound doors. So when purchasing a Camaro, you're not gonna have any issues with pop-up headlights. They weren't quite as cool as Firebirds with awesome pop-up headlights. Any cool car from the 80s has pop-up headlights. But anyways, let me stay on topic. So sometimes these pop-up headlights will have issues because it was the 80s. Everything plastic was made crappily. Is that a word? It was made absolutely like garbage. So let's go ahead and show how these work. Up. Yep, so that's the kit edition. As you hear right now, the motor is winding and doing all sorts of crazy stuff. It's not supposed to do that. The plastic gears in there, they kind of break apart and they just have issues like that. Let's see if we can get it go back down though. Headlight down. Again, you hear the motors. Sometimes these things will get stuck up and down a little bit. There is a way to pop the hood and manually put them up and down. This isn't something to be necessarily scared of. They sold rebuild kits. I think it's like $100 for the pair. I don't think it's per side. I think it's per pair. Regardless, this is something that's going to deteriorate over time. So don't be nervous if your headlights don't pop up and down well. So under this hood, you're going to want to see a big American muscle car V8. When opening this hood, be careful. The hood latch is right here. You're gonna pop it. I don't know who designed these hoods, some sort of drunken monkey, but you're gonna wanna get pressure on both sides of the hood because you can actually break the glass if you don't get equal pressure on it. So you're gonna lift from both sides, and then hopefully your struts will hold it. So this is the best V8 that these cars came with. It's the tune port injection. Now, mine's a 305, so it didn't make quite as much horsepower as the 350, but that was the only way you can get a manual in an F-body, was to have a 305. There are no factory stick shift 350 cars. They don't exist. No matter what anyone says, they don't exist. But as you see right here, tune port injection, that's how you know you got the best one you could get. These things were pretty quick back in their day. They were muscle cars.
How much power?
The 305s, well, they made a little over 200 horsepower. Like,
are you for real, man? I thought it was supposed to be an American muscle car, right? All about being fast.
Well, they were. It was during the smog era.
Okay, for real, like my Toyota right there can do the same, if not more.
What the hell is... So chances are, if you're looking to buy a third gen F-body, you're looking at the V8s. If you're gonna spend some coin, you'll be looking at a more done up package. So there's two types of fuel injection from 85 to 92. There's tune port injection, like this one. You can tell it's tune port injection because it says so. The other type is throttle body injection, also known as TBI. That's more of a cheaper, simpler type of setup, just two injectors up top. They don't make quite as much power. They're maybe a little bit easier to diagnose. You don't have 8 injectors, a plenum, etc. But they're not going to be worth as much. The tune port injections are kind of the gold standard for these vehicles. While we're under the hood, we're literally going to look under the hood. If you come right over here, you're going to see GM put the VIN plate right here as well. Once again, just another detail to look for. Make sure the vehicle wasn't an accident. Chances are this 20,000 foot hood would have been crinkled up and replaced if something went wrong with it. It's a great indication that this is original. Two more things to look at down here. So, don't know all the vehicles that have a battery on the driver's side, but if they do, it's a little unfortunate if battery acid got through. They'll eat out the metal that kind of holds them, the little battery plate, and you can't just unbolt these. You have to weld in a new piece. It's not the end of the world, but just something to look for. You want to make sure you're paying a fair price for your car. Now, the most important thing on any F-body to look at, this is a make or break thing for most people, is to make sure that your gearbox, for you people overseas, gearbox in America is for steering, not for shifting. So your gearbox for your steering right here is still fully attached to your frame rail. It's not a real frame rail, it's part of the body. These are unibody cars, And unfortunately, if you didn't have a Wonder Bar or some other sort of supporting bar on these vehicles, it can crack and you'll never have good steering. So what you're going to want to do is have a friend come with you and turn the wheel back and forth and make sure that there's no crack over here on the subframe. Right here is where your fender mounts to the rest of the car. A lot of mechanics will like to throw a jack right there and bend it. It'll actually put the alignment of your fender to door out of alignment. So you're going to want to check right here, make sure no one has just put a jack there. Working your way up to the A-pillar, not 100% sure how this got here. You can see there's some rust that came on the A-pillar, I'm guessing from the inside out, and typical 80s, 90s GM clear coat coming off. I believe the rust might be from T-top leakage getting inside this A-pillar. I'm not 100% sure on that. If you know, please leave a comment down below. I will be getting this fixed at some point because literally the only body rust on the car. We're now going to go over what to look for on the interior of your third gen, starting with the hatch.
Nice, you want to run there?
We made it just in time. So if you owned one of these cars back in the day, I know you knew about this. This was your place to hide stuff. It was a pretty cool trapdoor. Well, you know who else thinks it's cool? Rats. They like to make their little mouse houses in here. So you're gonna wanna open this up with your circle key. It's actually a compartment that's made out of cardboard. So this is where they're gonna reproduce and do things that used to do in the car, but a mouse now. So as you can see, mine's nice. They didn't make a mouse house in it, which I'm actually thrilled to see. Recently we had a mouse in the garage. Don't worry, I murdered the crap out of it. It's dead, so the Firebird is safe. And any other mice who's around, I will kill you. I will straight up kill you.
Oh my God, I just found a rat's nest. Slaughtered about 200 of them.
200? Couldn't be. That's...
So for whatever reason, and I believe 86, GM decided, you know what? When you close your hatch, you only have to close it 99% of the way. We got you that other 1%. I don't know why they did this. These fail all the time. People like to switch to the 85 models that don't have a pull down. It's just a release more or less. So you have a button, pops open instead of this craziness I'm about to show you. Ready? Thank you, GM. This was so helpful. Thanks. Oh, hey. Ghost.
Would you like a sandwich?
First thing you're gonna notice when you get in some of these third gens is probably the dash. They're notorious for cracking. They did not stand the test of times. So you have three choices really. You can live with it, you can cover it up, or you can replace it. Now, you're not probably gonna get lucky and find a new old stock for very cheap if you're gonna replace it. So you're probably gonna look at aftermarket. Well, if you have a Camaro, you're in luck. It's only about $300 for a new dash pad. And it's literally just the pad, not the whole dash, just this little top pad. For you Firebird owners, you're looking at $500 plus. Very expensive, but if you're gonna take this to car shows, it's one of the first things your eyes are gonna be drawn to, so you're gonna want it. Now, a big thing to check when you're buying these cars is the passenger floorboard. As you see, it's just carpet, right? You see a floor mat, you're gonna wanna lift up that floor mat and check underneath it. As you see, just gray carpet. What you're looking for is Dexcool. For those of you who don't know what Dexcool is, it's the orange coolant, because right above that is the heater core. Now I tell you this because if there is orange coolant and it's leaking, you're looking at $500 to $1,000 to get that repaired. The whole dash has to come out. And why I say $500 to $1,000? Because you're gonna spend 5 to 10 hours and you're gonna break stuff along the way. These plastic panels do not like being taken apart and it's gonna get pricey. Now, if you wanna authenticate any of the rare options that your vehicle may or may not have, it's really easy to. You're gonna come right over here to your center console, you're gonna pop it open and you'll have your RPO codes right there. I'm gonna put a link in the video right now and below of where you can go to decipher what every single code for is. This way you can find out if you actually have an IROC or you have a Firebird. It's just a way to check things. We're gonna switch our attention over to the cluster. If you go and look at my odometer, that is inaccurate. these Firebirds, I'm not sure about the Camaros, but these Firebirds, there's a gear in there that will stop spinning. So I kind of like it. It's free. I can drive this vehicle and it won't record any more miles, but there's a plastic gear that's in there and it's broken. It's probably not the most important thing to know the mileage on your car if it's over 100,000 anyways. You know, if you're gonna pay money, it's gonna be for a very low example. 100,000, 150,000, you're probably gonna spend the same amount now. A cool feature on these cars is if you actually do have a check engine light, you'll see over here on the Firebird service engine soon. This one does not have an engine light. It just shows to when it starts up so you know the computer works. But if you work your way down here to the OBD1 port, you can actually put a paper clip and jump pin A and B, and then your service engine light will start flashing. You can count the number of flashes and figure out if there's, or what codes that your engine is throwing. You'll want to know what you have before you buy the car if there are any. I'll put another link in the video and right here. And you can click on that and that'll decipher what all of your blinks mean. Alright, so now we have our T-top up and out of the way. You can want to take a look at your T-top bar. I'm sure as everyone knows, these things are infamous for leaking. I'm pretty sure mine does too, but I keep mine in the garage, it's never outside, so I don't really worry about it. If yours isn't gonna be inside, or if you just don't want to spend a bunch of money, you're gonna want to find one with a good T-top bar. These are another part, they're about $300 to replace if they're rusted out, and if they are, you have to rip off the weather stripping to get to it. Chances are your weather stripping is gonna rip apart, and there's another $300 in weather stripping to seal all this up. So you're looking at, I don't know, $600+ just to start doing the most basic stuff of fixing your T-top leak. So if you did notice a rusty T-top bar or just some sort of leaks, you're gonna want to take a better look at your headliner. These were fiberglass from the factory. Chances are they're gonna be rotted out and broken, and you're gonna have to spend another couple $100 to get that fixed, or even to get an ABS one. And then, as we talk about all the time, water likes to travel down, right? So it's gonna work its way down to the carpet. It's gonna ruin your carpet, and you're gonna wanna pull up that carpet to check for rust. Those floorboards might be rotted out. So let's hope that your T-top bar is in good condition and we don't have to worry about any of those items. Action. I want to keep playing. Alright. Thanks for watching this episode of Garfinkel's Garage. I hope you learned something and this helps you in your endeavors of buying a 3rd Gen F-Body. If you have any additional questions, leave a comment down below. Or if you want to buy this turd, leave a price down below. If it's not super offensive, I'll respond. Or if it's extra offensive, I'll definitely respond. Have a good one.